The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. I'm your host, Paul Shaughnessy, joined by my co-host, Mr. Cody Saftic, here to break down UFC on Fox 30. I don't think we're doing numbers anymore. It's UFC Calgary. Alvarez versus Poirier 2, a fight that we all got robbed of the first time, UFC 211. These guys go at it, and it was fireworks from start to finish, and we got robbed. We got robbed of it. There's the illegal knee, all of that good stuff, or all of that bad stuff.
Bad stuff.
And
it's cool for 2 seconds. Knee in the face, and you're like,
7.5 minutes of absolute war. So It's good that everyone's wanted this fight. We want to settle the score. Before we get to that, though, we got to settle the score with last week's DK winners. We got Broken Thumbs. You got some bucks. We got Peter Rock 75. You got some bucks. This week, 2 more giveaways. One for the iTunes review and one for
highest scoring Canadian fighter on the card.
Highest scoring Canadian fighter. I thank you for doing that because I was ill prepared for this moment. Highest scoring Canadian fighter on the card, and leave your DK handle, all that good stuff in the comment section on YouTube here. And on the other one, go up there and compliment Cody on Cody quit smoking 3 days ago. Cody wasn't
never
really a
smoked.
smoker, but Cody would like the Captain Jack's little
Captain Black.
Captain Black. See, I don't even know. Cody would like those. So compliment Cody on quitting smoking, or do whatever you want to do. Leave a nice review, and then Mayo, the overlord of the DK bucks, will go through. They'll randomly select people. You'll win bucks like Broken Thumbs and Peter Rock 75. Look into your accounts, and your money is probably there. Let's not waste any more time.
2 things here.
You want to waste
Thing
more time.
Thing number one, 3 days doesn't count as quitting, I don't think anyways, but whatever. Thing number 2, we're in a lot of trouble here after this weekend, Paul, because last weekend's card, very boring, very dull. Yet somehow, Paul Shaughnessy managed to lose his voice throughout the weekend. Now we've got a very exciting, very action-packed card. I can already tell you're not going to be able to scream through this entire event.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be a tough one.
I will try.
Yeah, well, with this main event, at least it's at the end of the night, in case you can make it that far.
We got Dustin Poirier, as we were alluding to earlier, taking on Eddie Alvarez in the rematch. Dustin Poirier, 8,800 on DraftKings, minus 160 favorite. Eddie Alvarez is 7,400 and plus 140. Hey, this fight last time was it was just it was a DK robbery, basically, because both of these guys were going to the war. Both of these guys were having the type of tempo of fight that you want to have on your DraftKings lineups. You want both sides of this when you're playing that type, and that type of fight happens. It's whoever wins was scoring more than their price tag. I'll tell you that much. And then there was the illegal knee. Nobody wins. Nobody gets the 30-point bonus or even the finish bonus or anything else like that. So that was a 3-round fight. They got to the second round. Those guys were scoring. I think Poirier had already landed 44 strikes, and Alvarez had landed 27. And they were 7 minutes in. They were on pace to do some good stuff there. Now we got a 5-round fight between the two of them. One thing I will say, I am leaning Poirier here. He was getting the better of him, of Alvarez the first time. This guy can go to war. All of his issues of having a really bad chin when he's taking on Conor McGregor and all that stuff.
Generally good.
I think a little bit, maybe it says more about the power that Conor McGregor had in that left, or that Conor McGregor has in that left hand. Since he's moved up to 155, the cut's been better.
Yep.
He's filled out a lot into that frame, and he's been able to take damage. But what I will say is, do not count out Eddie Alvarez in this type of fight. I made the mistake. I had a little bit of Eddie Alvarez, but not nearly enough. I had a hell of a lot more Justin Gaethje when those two guys went to war against each other. And both of them scored just bonkers points. Even Gaethje in a loss scored 75 points or something.
Gaethje.
It was fine, right? It didn't kill your lineups, but Eddie Alvarez scored 137 points that night.
Yeah.
And it's just he was the top scorer on the board. Do not count out Eddie Alvarez in a dogfight. This is a fight that I don't really want to bet on it because of what we saw. We saw chaos when the two of these guys went to war the last time. On DraftKings, though, I'm going to probably have like a 60-40 split. I'm going to have 60% Dustin Poirier, 40% Eddie Alvarez. Every lineup is going to have one of these two guys because I think the winner will definitely score above what they need to pay off the price tags.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like if you look at that first fight, you really see the true colors of both guys. That's typically how both of them fight. You got Dustin Poirier, slick southpaw. He's awesome that first encounter. He's got the range down where he finds the range very quickly against Eddie Alvarez. He's lighting him up. Like I said, that straight left he's got, perfect. Right hook. I feel like Dustin Poirier, that was one of the better versions, the cool, calm, composed. That's him at his best. He's going to stuff takedowns if you want to shoot takedowns on him. He keeps it standing. He's a tricky guy to deal with. He's got big power in his hand. He's eventually going to find the mark. You just look at this guy's run since going up to 155 pounds, and for the most part, when he's taking guys out, he is taking them out. The thing with Eddie Alvarez is how many times we've seen that at Eddie Alvarez, that he gets rocked early, and then at some point, the thing with Eddie Alvarez is he's very much a dog. He's been a dog in a lot of his fights. He's the underground king.
That's just been an underdog in every single one of his UFC fights, which is crazy for somebody who's been the champion.
Crazy, but at the same time, it's that he's a dog. That's how he's always been. And he's most dangerous when, cliche, you back him into a corner. Like, you have him rocked, he seems to be out of it, and it's like, okay, go in and finish the kill. He just starts swinging for his life, and that's where he fights his best. That's one issue that I thought that Poirier made in that first fight, is that you've got this guy hurt. It's not only just like, oh, one punch caught him. It's like, you nail him with 3 or 4 big shots. Eddie Alvarez is hurt. You know how dangerous this guy is. But instead of taking that step back and just picking him off,
he goes to bomb town.
He was picking him off at range, man. He was having his way with them. And instead, you got Eddie Alvarez that's just trying to shoot desperation takedowns. You're stuffing them like nothing. But he pursued the finish too much on Eddie. And in doing so, I don't think he gassed himself out, but he gave himself openings. Eddie starts to hit him. Before those illegal knees end the fight, he's in trouble. He gets hit by Eddie. He gets hurt by Eddie. Maybe he blows his load trying to finish Eddie off. Like, I don't know. But Alvarez starts to work his way back into that fight, and obviously the knees end what could have been the turnaround for the round for Eddie Alvarez. And if that fight goes into a third round, who knows what would have happened? Yep. We don't know. But the issue with this one here is that I'd be quick to take Dustin Poirier if it was a 3-round fight. But those extra 2 rounds likely indicate that this is going to be a dog fight. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at that. Way number 1, if you're picking Eddie Alvarez, which I don't think I'm going to, is that yeah, he might get the early exchanges might go towards Dustin Poirier. Eddie Alvarez might lose the first couple rounds, but at some point he's going to find that gear. He's going to start to tire him out. He's going to find his range. He's going to put his will on Dustin Poirier, and hopefully he breaks him. The second train of thought, which is what I'm going to go with, is that Dustin Poirier just came off a war where it had to go 4 hard rounds against Justin Gaethje, and he did not wilt in that fight. He seemed like a smarter fighter as a result of the fight with Eddie Alvarez. He goes into the first fight with Eddie Alvarez. It's got to be a confidence builder to have your way with a former champion like that, a perennial top-ranked opponent like Eddie Alvarez, to be able to hurt him, to be able to just pick him off. He's having a beautiful performance until he decides to go into this dogfight. Now you get Justin Gaethje, and right away you know this is going to be a dogfight, but you fight the smart fight. So I feel like because it is 5 rounds, he knows he can't just go out there, try and knock at Eddie. He knows how tough an Eddie is firsthand now. So maybe he just fights with a little smarter of a game plan. And last point on it is, you mentioned right at the top of it, this is a rematch that everybody wanted. But I don't think Eddie wanted this rematch. In fact, he kind of tried to dance around it. Dustin Poirier was very vocal on social media, basically saying like, yo, you owe me one. Let's do this again. And here you got Eddie Alvarez campaigning for, man, I should fight Khabib. Man, I should fight. It's like, no, this is a do-over. You owe him a do-over. You illegally kneed him in the face twice while he was on the down in what was a very exciting fight between 2 top contenders. You owe him. But he knows how tough that fight was. And he knows how tough this fight's going to be. And I feel like Poirier is at the top of his game. He's a top-ranked fighter in the division. He's likely going to get a title shot at some point in his UFC career if he can just stay a little more consistent, because his issue is at some point a big power puncher, whether it be Michael Johnson or whether it be an accurate guy like, McGregor fight was a very long time ago. Yeah. So let's not even bother talking about that. But at some point you can clip this guy and knock him out. So he needs to keep the momentum building, but I think Poirier is fighting better now than he ever has in his entire career. Whereas Eddie Alvarez is very much Eddie Alvarez. Like, this is kind of what he does. This is who he is. And so when you fight a guy the first time, he surprises you with a couple things. Like, damn, I didn't see that coming out of Eddie. the second time you fight him, you know the durability, you know already the range, obviously, you know that what this guy kind of like to go to, you know that he's going to try to make it a dogfight, you know his takedown setups. So I feel like Poirier would have gotten more information out of that first encounter and hopefully just goes out with a slightly better, well-adjusted game plan, and he'll find the mark. The 8,800, you got to think that either he's going to score a lot of volume over the course of 5 rounds, or that he gets that finish on Eddie Alvarez. Likewise for Eddie Alvarez, $7,400, like, you know he's going to make it a war, and he's got a shot to finish this as well. Like, it wasn't just the illegal knee that knocked out, or that, you know, ended the fight against Poirier.
He landed 27 strikes of his own, and he had Poirier.
And heavy shots, like the way the guy swings. He swings
like,
with ill intent.
He wasn't as hurt.
Yeah.
Like, Eddie Alvarez was Bambi out there falling back to the cage, and, like, that was a very close to finish type of situation. But
yeah, the one thing though is that I personally prefer if I know I'm going to get some takedowns, and I have a feeling this is no takedowns. I just don't think either guy can take the other guy down, so they're not even going to waste the energy. They'll just go out there and throw shots, and you know, to rack up 100 significant strikes, that's pretty crazy considering both of them have been in so many wars. Like, who knows? Who knows if they're eager to go out there and get at it right away over the course of 5.
They were on pace to do just fine in like 7 minutes that they fought the first time.
You know, and the thing with that first fight is the first couple of minutes, there is a feeling out process. And then as soon as it's established of like, oh, we're fighting, it's chaos after that. So, no, I hear you. I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier. We both are picking
Dustin Poirier, but we're not going to be shocked if Eddie Alvarez pulls this out. It's the last fight of his contract too, so you know he's motivated to make some bank, have a banger of a fight here.
I almost feel like most guys that fight out their contract don't have that big performance on that last fight like they all anticipate. It's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah.
Think about it. Eddie Alvarez is...
like, if I have like the fight of the year right now, I'm going to get so much, X amount of dollars more on my next contract. But yeah, that extra thing, when you're thinking about, oh, I've got to go have a firecracker type of fight, sometimes you kind of just, you get caught in the moment.
Hey, I hear you, dude. I hear you. Could happen.
Let's move on down. We got Jose Aldo taking on Jeremy Stephens. Jose Aldo is 8,200 on DraftKings, minus 130. Jeremy Stephens is 8,000 and plus 110. What's your take here?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Jeremy Stephens, which just seems crazy when you think about the projection of both guys from years past. It's like Jose Aldo is not only the champion a couple years ago, but he's top of the list on the pound-for-pound list. He's the greatest featherweight champion of all times. He's a first ballot UFC Hall of Famer in the making. And Jeremy Stephens is Jeremy fucking Stephens. Like, he's a mid-range gatekeeper guy. Super tough, super durable, gives you fun fights, never going to challenge for a world title. Can fight at 45, can fight at 55. Jeremy Stephens, you put him on a card because you want to deliver the fans a show. That's what he is. But you look at it in 2018, and I honestly feel like Jose Aldo might be the damaged goods here. Jose Aldo might be that aging legend that maybe doesn't have it in the tank anymore. And Jeremy Stephens is on like a career resurgence, man. Like, the guy's always had power, no doubt about it. If you ask him, he'll tell you he's the hardest hitting featherweight in the division. In fact, he doesn't TKO guys. He lays them out. That's if you ask him. But dude, he proves it. Like, you ask a lot of people, they'll probably agree with that statement. Like, he touches you and you go down. And it doesn't matter if you're winning the first round. Like, it could be, the Doo Ho Choi situation, or it could be a Josh Emmett where it's like, oh, I can use some speed and athleticism on him. It's like, at some point, he's going to touch you. This is a fist fight. Some point he's going to touch you. And you got to be able to take that, right?
Yeah, this is a guy who knocked out Rafael dos Anjos, who's doing just fine at 170 pounds, and this is a featherweight who did it to him. So
yeah, he broke his jaw.
The guy's got power.
The guy has got a massive, massive amount of power. There's no doubt about it. The two things that he lacks is that he kind of seems a little bit slow, and he's almost predictable. Now, Some guys, he can lure them into it, right? Some guys, it's like when he stands in front of you, the Doo Ho Choi situation, when he stands in front of you and he wants to engage in a war, you got to be smart. You got to backpedal. You got to Hoinato Moicano him and be willing to fight the game plan of backpedaling and striking. But Jose Aldo really isn't a backpedaler, right? He's not a guy that's going to fight off his back foot. He wants to counterpunch, no doubt about it, but he almost seems like he moves forward. He wants to have those leg kicks. He wants to start to break your will. He wants to have his way with you. Jose Aldo hasn't won a fight since UFC 200 when he beat Frank Yeager. That's 2 years ago. He hasn't finished an opponent in 5 years since the Korean Zombie popped out his own collarbone in the 4th round of their encounter. Like, that's a long time between quality performances out of him. The last 2 fights with Max Holloway, he's been completely chewed up and spit out. So, what are we going to get? One thing that has really kind of persuaded me to go Jeremy Stephens, I think if you look skill for skill-wise, Jose Aldo is better skilled than Jeremy Stephens, right? At his best, he was a more dynamic striker. He was a little bit faster. The power goes to Jeremy Stephens, but Jose Aldo's not getting KO'd. It's just in 2018, a lot of that shit's out the window. And I think a perfect example when you talk about stuff like this is you look at that last card in Germany. You know, a lot of people are on Shogun Rua, but what they saw wasn't the Shogun Rua that they remembered. It's not the Shogun Rua that you want to remember. It's not the same guy that's stomping heads in Pride. But you look at Glover Teixeira, mind you, that was obviously a stylistical clash that favored Corey Anderson. But here's a short notice opponent who's on his way up versus good old Glover Teixeira that's clearly on his way down. I made the foolish decision to make my one Brazilian Vitor Miranda, and although I thought he performed better than the two aforementioned guys, again, Vitor Miranda, just too old, right? So maybe that theme of these 38, 39, 40-year-old fighters, Jose Aldo is not that old, by the way. He's only 32 years old. But I got to feel like that wear and tear. I got to feel like that Nova Yin grind over the years is just taking a lot out of him.
My one question here, though, is everyone was kind of, even when Frankie Edgar took on Jose Aldo the last time that they fought, everyone was kind of, Aldo's finally done. This is Frankie's time. And Aldo put on a masterclass kind of performance against him, just being able to box him up.
The last
fight,
and
right. He's just faster, more technical. When we've seen Jeremy Stephens struggle, it's been against guys who've been able to, like, he even hurt Frankie Edgar in their fight in New York City that one time. But Frankie, for the most part, was able to kind of like take him down where he wanted to. I'm not saying that's an option here, or that's what Jose Aldo would do.
That's typically the way to neutralize Jeremy Stephens, unless you're going to
backpedal.
have
to. Max Holloway as well. It's like just being able to be a little bit slicker, a little bit faster in space, and pick the guy off. It's tough to trust Jose Aldo here. I don't think he's as done, as we like to say, as a Shogun Rua at this point. And we look at Stephens and the guys he's beating. It's rising prospects like Duho Choi and Josh Emmett. But then he's losing to the elite of the elites, like a Frankie Edgar and a Max Holloway. So it's a really tough. It's close to a pick 'em for a reason. I think you go back 3-4 years, and this is like minus 500 plus 400 type of situation.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think Stephens is a great GPP play. Maybe Aldo is done. And we know that Stephens, when he comes to party, comes to party. I don't really want Aldo because if I do see a path to victory for him here, I see him just being able to box him up, kind of slow down the pace of the fight, not turn this into a war at all, and fight the fight on his terms. Him versus Frankie Edgar was that type of fight where it's just like it didn't really score very well. It was a masterclass of like precision striking by Jose Aldo against a fast opponent as well. That's what I could see happening here. It's a stay away for the most part. I can't hate on you for Jeremy Stephens' punt on.
I just want to
punt, but
counter
Jeremy
on
Stephens'
2
play
points.
on DraftKings.
Yeah, the 2 points I want to counter on is you're right. Jose Aldo, obviously the last time he looked good, the last time he got that win, Frankie Edgar, UFC 200, and hell, dude, a big win. You go out there and you beat Frankie Edgar, and a defining performance as well. But the thing that really gets me is that when you look at that fight, it's not that Frankie Edgar is fighting a bad fight. It's that he's coming up short on all of his punches. He's not engaging Jose Aldo. He keeps doing that little Frankie, shuffle, level change, fake, level change, fake, level change.
The whole fight.
He's moving forward. Jose Aldo stands his ground and just counterpunches him. He just stands his ground and counterpunches him. So that's Frankie Edgar getting counterpunched the whole time by Jose Aldo. I don't know why Frankie fought that game plan, but it almost seemed to me a little bit uncharacteristic for him that he was unwilling to engage with them, really commit to the takedowns. That's a good version of Jose Aldo. The thing is that version of Jose Aldo, then right after that, has the first fight with Max Holloway, which is a life-changing beating. He takes a hellacious beating in that first fight. Starts the first 2 rounds good. He shows you Jose Aldo is a very skilled individual. But by rounds 3, he's shot. He's done. He takes a very bad beating. The rematch with Max Holloway, he don't even look good in the first 2 rounds. He is done, and takes not quite a life-changing beating the second time, but a fucking beating. What Jeremy Stephens has proven by beating Duho Choi and beating Josh Emmett is here's Jeremy Stephens, been around the block a long time, had a lot of fights in the UFC, can still compete with the next generation of fighter, whereas Jose Aldo, 2 losses to Max Holloway, no big deal, it's Max Holloway. But at the same time, maybe his time has potentially come. My second point on it is Jeremy Stephens might go out there and the fight will look just like when Jeremy Stephens fought Renan Barão. Renan Barão and Jose Aldo, similar styles, obviously longtime stablemates, but here's a guy that's shot and is going to stand relatively in front of me, and I'm just going to outpoint this guy, and I'm going to win a 29-28. So I don't know. I really don't. And I can't. Canadian judges are so
we
unbelievably
didn't
bad.
even talk about that.
So bad that, Alvarez and Poirier is probably not going to decision. But Aldo Stevens is likely going to decision, and it's going to be who two of these idiots favor better. And I'm Canadian, and I love Canadians, and Canada's the greatest country.
For
but
the last few years,
I'm just looking at track record here, dude, and we've got a bad track record.
It's not always necessarily home cooking. It's just like there'll be non-Americans fighting against each other in Canada.
Valerie Letourneau lost.
Joe Lozon versus Jim Miller. Like, that was egregiously bad.
Yeah, the Kyle Bochniak versus Barzola.
Oh,
Woof.
boy.
Woof.
My mom was making. I watched that fight with my mom, and she was making fun of me. She's like, "Ha, you lost on like another close decision." I was just like steaming.
No, I had money on Bochniak. Don't know why.
No, I had money on.
I was
both of the bad beats that night. Like, I lost both of the.
I was so happy.
I got screwed on both of them.
It is what it is, dude.
It is what it is.
That's the kind of thing you don't know what's going to happen, so we'll have to see. But my pick's going to be Jeremy Stephens. Yeah, 8,000, good enough.
Former UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk takes a non-title fight for the first time in a long time.
Crazy.
Which takes on Tecia Torres. Jedrzejczyk is 9,200 on DraftKings to Torres is 7,000. Minus 310 on the betting line. Plus 255 Torres. I've been seeing a lot of Torres love out there. And she's good. She's quick. She's athletic. She's well-rounded. She's well-trained. Well, she was well-trained. And now she's at a gym that is training her opponent that knows they brought her up. They know everything about her.
She was there for a long time.
They
man.
know
They know the ins and outs of Tecia
everything
Torres.
about her. I think Joanna gets back on track here. This is the proper type of opponent. Somebody, like the one question that we've had when we looked at the Carolina fight. I know that she didn't get knocked out, but she got that, like, the spinning back fist.
She got hurt?
And she got hurt.
We've
she
seen her
kinda
get
fell.
hurt
And
before.
then we saw her get finished, obviously, by Rose. So that chin is a question. Tecia Torres, not the type of striker. She did finish Juliana Lima.
Rear naked choke, first finish in her entire pro career.
She goes the distance pretty much every single
of course.
fight. And I think this is the type of fight where Joanna's going to be able to stand her ground and kind of pick her shots. And as the fight goes on, Joanna always gets better, and the volume is more and more. My only issue from a DraftKings perspective is the $9,200. We're used to getting Joanna at this price in a 5-round fight, and Joanna, she's kind of like Max Holloway in that sense. It's like rounds 3, 4, and 5. It's just like
that's where all the points come.
The volume kind of ramps up as their opponent gets
sir.
more tired. So at $9,200 in a 3-round fight, it's a little bit tougher for me to get that payback. I like Joanna to win here. And I think she's probably pretty safe. You're probably at least getting 3 rounds out of her. Maybe you could consider her for cash, but I do struggle a bit to see how she scores that much in 10 less minutes than what we're accustomed to seeing from her.
No, I would have to definitely bail for the 9,200. You know me, you know Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She's my baby. Never bet against her. I ain't going to start here. But there's no doubt that she's less trustworthy than she used to be. There was a time where it was just like free money. Not only is she going to make you money on the money line, you can parlay her up, and she's going to be a great parlay piece. As far as DraftKings goes, she's going to score you a ton of points. She's scoring like
130 points.
Yeah, like she's almost just like the perfect fit. Perfect. Love her. And you know what? She was the dog for the first couple fights in the UFC. She made me some good money. The last 2 fights with Rose Namajunas, I'm not going to say an issue. Rose is a very talented fighter, but I think going into the first fight, people had talked about her chin, had talked about her ability to take that punch. And I don't know if it's just sheer wear and tear, being the fact that, she's a multiple-time European Muay Thai champion. She's had enough fights in the UFC. She's fought some top competitors. But, dude, it's the weight cut. Like, this girl has a wicked time making 115 pounds. The second fight with Rose, again, I have such a huge bias for Joanna, and she did not win that second fight. I know she seemed convinced that she did. I know some fans online thought that she did not win that second fight with Rose. So now what we have is Joanna Jedrzejczyk in a 3-round fight, which should be good because, she'll be able to, use some of that energy that she's normally saving for 4 and 5. Maybe she goes out there and she puts it in the top 3. I think she beats Tecia, but I don't really like this on a technical standpoint. Like, as far as the matchup itself goes, I think that there's a lot of better fighters out there that I'd be content with Joanna fighting than Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres is a kind of a point fighter. I mean, she's very strong. She'll try to get those takedowns, but against Joanna,
super fast as well.
Yeah, against Joanna, those takedowns don't materialize, right? So I don't even think she attempts to get any takedowns. I think it's going to be a stand-up battle, right? And with Joanna is that she's going to be a little bit slower than Tecia, and because she comes from a Muay Thai background, she's a little more flat-footed. Whereas Ticia's a kickboxer. She's going to be cutting angles. She's going to be darting in and out. If this is just a striker battle, if this is just two strikers going at it, then Ticia's super technical. She's got a long pedigree in the sport of kickboxing, and she's typically not all that hittable. So with Joanna, we talk about her volume and her ability to go out there and just land significant strikes and rack up points, but at best, she might be landing 10, 15 strikes per round here. She's only going to rack up, say, 40 or 50 significant strikes. She's not going to get the $9,200 price tag for you. And as far as the minus 310 goes, like, I'm getting cold feet, man. I don't like it because I think it's plausible that Tecia Torres avoids her and picks at her. I think the blueprint was done by Rose, that you don't have to take this girl down. Everybody's like, I gotta take her down, I gotta take her down, I gotta take her down. Nobody can stand with her. You can stand with her. Just be smart and be a little more technical with her. She leaves openings. She is a hittable opponent. She doesn't particularly move her head, and she moves on a straight line. So counter her, pivot, angle off, and just dart in and out. It's going to be a boring decision fight if Tecia wins, but Tecia wins boring decision fights. That's kind of what she does outside of the one rear naked choke victory over Lima. I don't think that's going to be a play here. So anyways, I think Joanna and Jedrzejczyk gets the win. The minus 310 I'm off. The $9,200 I'm off. And part of me thinks I'm only taking Joanna because I don't have the balls to take the dog on Tecia because I'm such a Joanna fan. But fuck, this could be a really boring, shitty split decision that goes Tecia Torres' way, and that pains me to say because of how high up the mountain Joanna was just a year ago.
Let's move on down the card. We have Olivier Aubin Mercier taking on Alexander Hernandez. Well, I had to call Alex Hernandez on our board. There's just not enough space.
It's a long name.
Got a long last name, long first name. Something's got to give. 8,300 for Aubin Mercier, 7,900 for Hernandez. Minus 135 OAM and plus 115 Hernandez. Who you got?
See, we don't know a whole lot about Hernandez other than the fact that he just seems to be a wrecking ball.
He looked amazing against Beneil Dariush.
And you know what? You try to find footage on this guy, and literally there's like about 5 minutes worth of it available online, and then there's the 2 minutes of the Beneil Dariush fight in which he completely steamrolls Beneil Dariush. So we got to go with the fact that it looks like he's got a lot of power. He's in physically outstanding shape. He was a wicked high school level wrestler. I don't know that it transitioned particularly high collegiately. I think he just kind of pursued MMA. But the guy's wrestling looks on point. He looks very strong. He seems to be able to either finish his opponent off very quickly or fight a hard 15 minutes. And I think that's what he's going to have to do. I am going to pick him over Olivier Aubin Mercier. Aubin Mercier is, first of all, overlooked by a lot of people. I think he's very unassuming, Canadian gangster. He's got the mustache. The guy is a threat, man. I mean, first of all, we know about his black belt on the ground. We know about the fact that he's also a black belt in judo, and his wrestling's ever improving. But I don't think many people thought that Evan Dunham needed the midsection, fold him up. Like, his striking has actually improved leaps and bounds. Trains at TriStar, been at TriStar for a very long time. That and H2O MMA out just outside of Montreal. He is probably one of Canada's better fighters. He is, I think, with Chad Laprise being a welterweight now, he is Canada's best lightweight, but I don't think that's enough to beat Hernandez. I think that Hernandez's wrestling is going to be able to keep the fight standing, and as far as it goes, keeping it standing, Olivier Aubin Mercier has been making those improvements, but sheer power seems to be going towards Hernandez. And if you remember correctly, Aubin Mercier did actually get hurt. He kind of got knocked down by Drew Dober. But he was able to just take Dober down. So I feel with Hernandez, if that option of getting the fight to the ground isn't on the table, then he's just going to get a stand-up battle. And he's getting a stand-up battle with a guy that cracks hard. So,
and is in equally peak physical shape as him as well.
He is in incredible physical shape.
The one thing that we
the guy
do
is rich.
question,
Maybe
though,
he'll tire
is,
if it goes later.
But that's a question that we just don't know the answer to. Really.
Yeah, and it looks like from the limited tape that we do have on him, he has no, he's not gassing. His only loss to Jamal Emmers. Emmers is a top-ranked fighter currently, and also that's a split decision, so you can't really get much out of that.
Years ago as well.
Years ago, and as an amateur, he was undefeated, but he seems like he's one of those kids that's very high up on himself. Dare I say that next generation of fighter that's coming to the ranks, knows how to wrestle, knows how to strike. He's got the confidence behind him. So the only two ways that I see Aubin Mercier winning is this kid tires himself out. Maybe he locks something up, a submission in transition, but he's not really that kind of grappler. And maybe it's just a close 3 rounds and he's able to get the decision. But I'm going to go with Alex Hernandez. $7,900. Hell, what a good price on him. Because if he wins the fight, there might be ground transitions. He might have to take Aubin Mercier down. He might just outstrike him. But he could get that finish. He could put him away, and it's going to be great there. And then the plus 115, yeah, he's the underdog. He's worth a shot. I think he does get the win. But, it's not like I'm overlooking Mercier. He's a very tough opponent. Something about this Alex Hernandez kid, man. You don't just walk into the UFC on short notice and dust off Beneil Dariush like it's no big deal. Like, maybe there's something special there. So I'm willing to take a chance. Because if he goes out there and smokes Aubin Mercier, you're not going to get dog money on this kid for a long time to come, right? So try to get it now.
I'm kind of with you there. I think everything that we've seen from him so far.
The very limited amount, yes.
Very limited amount. Yeah. Everything looks like it checks out. So, and frankly, if you were going to look at rankings, and I know rankings are stupid, but getting through Beneil Dariush and just dusting him off like that, this is technically a step down in competition from his last fight. So
no doubt about it. And there's a difference between, he hurt Beneil and then,
he just
swarmed him. It's like, no, he just put him out cold.
Looked like he was just like, oh shit.
Oh, nice.
It was kind of like me watching it too, just like, oh shit, this late notice replacement is the real deal. So money has actually been coming in and making this closer to a pick'em.
Yeah.
So the early bettors, which tend to usually be the sharper bettors from my experience, are seemingly coming in on Alexander Hernandez. So we'll see what happens on Saturday night. Let's move on down. We got Alex Morono taking on Jordan Mein. Both guys $8,100 on DraftKings. Both guys minus 110. Straight up pick 'em. It's tough to trust Jordan Mein. The guy's had, we got the board up right here, 42 fights, and he's what, like 27, 20?
He's 28 years old. He's had 42 professional recorded fights.
He's already retired and came back.
He's been fighting professionally since 16 years old.
Yep.
A 12-year-long career. And I think we did the math the other day for me and a friend of mine. By the time he got out of high school, I think he was like 12-5 or something.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Ridiculous. But think about it. He's 12-5 coming out of high school, and look at his record now. Like, I know he's got a guy that's got a lot of he's got a lot of losses on his record, but this is a guy that's like we talk about made his debut at 16 years of age against Rory McDonald. Like, he hasn't fought a whole lot of cans. He was fighting in Strikeforce when he was 23, and he signed to the UFC when he was 24. But even though he's either live by the sword, die by the sword, like he either goes there and buzzsaws you, or he makes mental lapse and you're able to work your way back in and beat him. Him taking the 2 years off because he had a kid and he decided, I don't want to fight anymore, and retired, I thought it would be the best thing for him, because this is a guy that's been fighting since he's 16. Like, he needs a little bit of time off. He needs to recharge the batteries. He needs to let his body rest up. He needs to enjoy the other things in life and not just camp to camp to camp to camp to camp. Like, I think he fought 7 times professionally when he was 17 years old that year. 7 times as a pro, still in high school. It's crazy. But since he's come back, man, like he's just kind of same inconsistent guy. I mean, I gave him a pass on the Meek fight because he had been off for the 2 years, and he won the first round and then just kind of tired out. Like, that's expected. The Bilal Muhammad fight,
he was able to go to the takedowns and kind of control.
But he lost the fight with Meek, and again, like I said, he gassed.
What was the fight? He had a fight where he got the takedowns. I can't remember.
Well, the Eric Silva fight, his last fight, he gets 4 takedowns on Eric Silva, and that's a win. But again, now you're...
Eric Silva was already the ghost of Eric Silva.
Eric Silva's, he was the ghost of the ghost. Like, that was his last fight before he got booted, and then he managed to pick up an LFA victory after, again, getting completely dropped by Nick Barnes. Anyways, all the same is that Jordan Mein, when he's on, this guy is unbelievably talented. Anybody that's worked with him
for a long time.
Well, it's not that he hasn't been on. It's like flashes. Yeah, I guess you could say he hasn't been on in a long time. He hasn't looked particularly great since he knocked out Dan Miller, or since he completely rearranged Cyborg's face with those elbows in Strikeforce. But like I said, there's been glimpses, because he smashed Mike Pyle, and then the Thiago Alves fight, he was having his way with Alves. Yep. But the mental lapse, he starts doing these front rolls in there, as you recall, and then he eats that body kick and it crumples him. It's like, okay. Then the second fight with Meek, I gave him the pass, 2-year-long layoff. Head wasn't quite in it. Cardio wasn't quite tight. Won the first round, lost the next 2. Close enough fight against a guy that's okay in Meek. Okay, fine. The fight with Bilal Muhammad, like, you almost give him a pass against this Bilal Muhammad. It's a tough guy. Thank God he's able to beat Eric Silva, because if he didn't, he'd be gone. That'd be the end of it. Anyways, how he matches up against Alex Morono is fan-fucking-tastic, right? He is so good at managing his distance, right? His timing's on point. His counterpunching's on point. He's a very tricky guy to deal with. But the way to kind of beat him is to put pressure on him and be aggressive, and that's what Morono does. So I'm going to think that I can't be betting against all these Canadians here, you know what I mean? Like, one of them is going to come big for me here.
Well, somebody has to be the highest scoring Canadian, Cody.
Yeah, and I feel like Jordan Young Guns Mean is going to be that
potential.
guy.
We've seen Morono get hurt.
Nico Price
he was doing okay against
flat
Price. Then Nico Price has some sort of like weird, uncomfortable strength, though.
Yeah.
Because like that last knockout was just like hammer first from bottom, like deaded.
He's like the striking I guess you can't say the striking version, but he's almost like the poor man's one-dimensional version of Brian Ortega. Like, he just sometimes takes a beating in the early going and then has it. Eventually, he's going to put hands on you. Eventually, he's going to crack the armor. And yeah, Nico Price is one of those guys that he's either won you a lot of money or he's cost you a lot of money.
So who are you picking?
I'm going to go with Jordan Mean. I think when you look back against the Nico Price fight against Alex Morono is just a super hittable guy, and he's got a willingness to go in there and just swing those hands, right? That allows a good counterpuncher to be able to pick him off, right? A good guy that's got good timing, good counters is going to be able to hit him coming in. With Nico Price, I mean, yeah, like you said, he had a good first round. In fact, he was doing pretty good in the second round, but the buzzer goes off for the second round. Like, the second round's done, and he's unconscious up against the cage. Ref doesn't even notice right away, and then it's like, oh, the round's done, this guy's not moving. Like, it's that one shot from Nico Price puts him out. Mean's got that power. He hasn't really shown the same killer instinct that he used to have when he was younger, but I got to assume that the killer instinct's maybe still there deep inside of him, that he's going to be able to get that shot, and he's going to be able to land it and hopefully be able to take Morono down. A big thing that is also giving me a little bit of confidence in Jordan Mean is that Alex Morono is a BJJ black belt, and he's actually pretty decent on the ground. I think we saw a little bit of that in his last fight with Josh Berkman. He has not completed one single takedown in the UFC. Has not even really attempted many takedowns in the UFC. He is not a takedown guy. He will get on top of you if he happens to drop you, but he's looking to go out there and swing those hands. So just one thing that I really wanted to quickly mention is that if you've ever met Jordan Mean, he is a big 170-pound fighter. Like, he's a big dude. And I feel like guys that are at 170 notice that with him. But if you can take him down, you can tire him out a little bit, then good on you. But Alex Morono's fights in the UFC have been Josh Berkman, former lightweight, undersized welterweight. Keita Nakamura, very small welterweight. Nico Price had some size on him, knocked him the fuck out. James Moontasri, former lightweight, very small welterweight. And his very first fight, which was Kyle Noak, who's a decent size, rangy welterweight. That's a close split decision. Could have gone a little bit either way. So he's been able to fight a lot of smaller guys. And with Mean's got the height advantage. He's got the reach advantage. He's got the striking advantage.
All behind him as well. He's from Lethbridge, right?
He's from Lethbridge, Alberta.
He's the local boy.
He's not Aubin Mercier, I'm from Canada, but I live on the other side of the country. He is from Alberta. He is from there. They are going to be loud for him. He's a fan favorite over there. And if these are just striking exchanges, he is going to get that win. And they're $8,100 because the knockout is on the table for me. I'm taking it. The -110, I'm taking it. Jordan Mean, let's go on a 2-fight winning streak, which we have not done in a long time, but let's do it. This is they gave him the perfect opponent for a showcase fight. Let's hit this ball out of the park and have a showcase fight.
Yeah, for people like not... Canadian geography is not very well known.
Second biggest landmass,
most people
right?
in the world.
Big.
It's like where we are right now to where Calgary is. It's like a 4-hour flight. Like, it is.
Isn't it like a 3-day drive?
Yeah, it's well, it depends on. I don't know
Who's
the exact
driving.
amount.
Yeah, you're right.
Who the hell's
You're
driving
right.
that?
You're
Man?
right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just in terms of flight, it's like a 4-hour flight. Like, you can get to New York City in an hour and a half from here by plane. It's over 4 hours to get to Calgary, Alberta from here.
Jordan
just
means...
to put it in perspective for people. Just because you're from Canada doesn't mean, if you're from Quebec, doesn't mean you're gonna be loved in the West. You know?
Yeah. Well,
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
They'll support all of the Canadian people, but there's a regional type of love here. So a guy like Jordan Mean, who is a Calgary boy, or an Alberta boy through and through, is going to get some love in that arena. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure fans that are from Texas are going to root on the local Alaskan boy because he's American. But there's a big fucking difference. You know what I mean?
When the Texecutioner James Vick comes out,
Texas has got a bad commission because they love little hometown.
No, I
cooking.
mean, like they like their. I'm sure they cheer. for
No, James Vick's
their
gonna win the
local
fight
guy
clean
more
anyway.
often, right?
No, I get it. Like
I'm not
I
even
said,
talking about home cooking here. I'm just saying in terms of the pop from the crowd. I would imagine Jordan Meehan probably is going to get the hardest pop, at least on the prelims. Obviously, main event, things change.
Little anecdote before we move on. You mentioned about who's driving from here all the way to Calgary. Jordan Meehan's dad, also pro fighter, formerly known as the Gladiator, now known as the Grandpa-nator, also a former pro boxer, shockingly enough, decent pro boxer. He's been fighting since like MMA was a thing. He's been around a long time. Lee Mean broke his hand in a fight in Quebec one time and drove all the way from Quebec back to Lethbridge with his broken hand in a stick shift. Swear to God, Lee Mean is as badass. I think he's currently 57 years old.
Still fighting.
And still fights. He's a grandpa. Still fights. Has some degree of success. Has a losing record, but he's been around for so long.
It's a fighting family.
And if you are an extreme fan or you like boxing, Adam Braidwood is a top 5 Canadian heavyweight. He's, I think, 12-1. That's the guy that killed Tim Hague, actually. His only loss is a TKO loss to Lee Mean. Like, go figure. He beat Lee Mean in the rematch, but all the same, like, talk about a feather in your cap. Jordan Mean, he's not
Jordan
just a fighter.
Mean's dad
Fighting runs through this guy's veins.
Jordan Mean's dad can beat up your dad.
Jordan Mean's dad could beat all of our dads.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a crazy guy, but I wish them all the best. They're a fighting family.
Hakeem Dawodu takes on Austin Arnett in a situation where I think they're trying to give a prospect who looks pretty good a little bit of redemption after a really tough debut. Dawodu's 9,400 on DraftKings and a -390 favorite. Arnett is 6,800 and plus 320. Austin Arnett 0-2 in the UFC, got blasted by Sandhagen.
He's 0-1 in the UFC, and he's got a Contender Series fight,
which he also lost.
Yeah,
he lost to Brandon Davis, and then he got blasted by Sandhagen in the follow-up fight.
Sandhagen looked good,
and Sandhagen I think is good.
Yeah.
Dawodu obviously came in, was a big favorite against Danny Henry. Henry in the UK gets clipped really early. I kind of liked how he was like fighting off that choke though, even though he was like on Bambi legs. Like I mean, it was
a hell of a choke, man.
He was, but you could see that he kind of knew how to at least try to get himself out of trouble. He was rolling away from it. It didn't look like he was completely lost. Like he didn't tap immediately. Like he was fighting out of it. This guy, when we pumped him up pretty big.
Yeah, I pumped him up huge.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again in a second.
Don't worry.
Go on.
Don't worry, I pump up things all the time. But he's mean Hakeem Dawodu. This guy hits like a brick house, and I think this is the right opponent. He probably doesn't have to worry about it. It's kind of a long, rangy, volume striker. And he's taking on an Austin Arnett. And I think he's another kind of guy who's fought most of his career out of this general area. They're looking for some prelim knockouts. Dawodu gets the job done. Kind of puts his name back in the hat, and he had a rough start, but I do think that this guy belongs at this level. He deserves to fight at this level. He just had a rough night out on his debut, but I'm expecting much better things from Hakeem the Dream this time around.
Yeah, I mean Hakeem is quite the badass guy. Listen. It turns out he's not invincible. It sucks. I was hoping he'd go on a run before moving his way up the ladder and meeting somebody. But I guess, in some ways, Danny Henry, who looked good against Taimur's brother as well, like, he really isn't that bad. The thing that kind of hurts there is that if you're questioning his chin, well, he got dropped in that fight. And if you're questioning his submission defense, well, he got choked the fuck out in that fight. So there's not a whole lot positive things to take away from that. We just got to go back to what we've seen traditionally in the past with him. And this guy's a former national Muay Thai champion. The guy's got an extensive background in the striking arts. His takedown defense, something he spent a lot of time on. We've seen it in World Series of Fighting. Look at the kind of run Steven Siler's on now, right? He has a perfect pitch out, 30-27 win over Siler. He's fighting tough Russians. First one's a draw. Rematch, he gets the victory. Looks good in the third round. Cardio checks out. Takedown defense for the most part checks out. Striking checks out. I didn't realize that, I can't say his chin's gone. I can't say it's bad. It's just like he got a flash knockdown. How many guys do we see get hit with flash knockdowns that have tremendous chins? Sometimes
and
you
then
get
Henry
hit,
was
and
really quick to wrap up his neck and capitalize.
Yeah, Henry had his neck fucking gone off of his body before he even. Yeah, and think about it. It's like, he's fighting off hands. He's trying to fight the choke like you mentioned. And this is a guy that basically just got smacked in the head with a baseball bat. Your senses are all over the place. Your equilibrium's gone. You're on rubbery legs and your ass in on this choke. The fact that he's able to kind of try to fight it off, like maybe that's the only positive you can take from that fight. Is that
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored 1.5 DraftKings points.
And I had him everywhere, and I advised people to take him everywhere. The guy's got a long story in terms of Canada. Beat Mike Malone, who was supposed to be the next guy. Looked good in that World Series of Fighting. Someone that we've really wanted to see in the UFC for a long time. I think when you look at the top 3 featherweights in the country, Hakeem Dawodu probably being the second or third guy. Gavin Tucker around the same level. I thought he was better than Gavin Tucker, but at least Tucker's won a fight in the UFC. And Jeremy Kennedy, who they cut, don't understand why, being the best featherweight. So Hakeem Dawodu's at the top of the mountain. We want to see him have success in the UFC for a long time, and this has got to be it, man. I mean, they've tailor-made Austin Arnett for him. If this was Jesse Arnett moving up to 145, it would be a better fight than Austin Arnett taking this one. Don't fully understand it, but how many guys get creamed on Dana White's Contender Series and get the contract? Hasn't happened yet, but this guy got a contract out of it. And then he got waxed by Sandhagen in the second round, I believe with a body shot.
Well, Kevin Holland had a very crappy performance on Contender Series.
He won at least.
And then they were just like, guess what? Thiago Santos is your first fight. See, that's and it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready, kid?
See, that's what they kind of do with these Contender Series
when there's
guys.
like, oh, you didn't come to have a good time. We're gonna set you up to get murked. That's essentially what they've been doing.
I think if you're the UFC,
if you win, you probably get you get a much easier opponent in your first fight because there's like, oh, maybe we can build this guy. If you're Austin Arnett, who has a fun fight with Brendan Davis that people are all enthralled by and enjoyed, you get Hakeem Dawodu in his backyard.
Yeah.
That's the breaks.
Well, them's the breaks. He's just been kind of dealt a shitty hand. He's fought in some good guys, and he hasn't come on the positive end of it. But he got outstruck handily by Brandon Davis, and he got outstruck handily by Corey Sandhagen. And both of those guys, certainly on paper, but in my opinion, would get soundly outstruck by Hakeem Dawodu. So I think he stops him. I think he stops him probably in the first or second round. The UFC knows what they're doing here. They've got Dawodu, who is coming off the loss, and like you said, prospect, let's build him up. But Dawodu is also from Alberta, right? He's got all of the local crowd on his side, and him and Jordan Mean are the only 2 Alberta-based fighters on this card. Both of them happen to draw good opponents that are tailor-made to their style. Mean's got question marks whether he pulls the trigger or not, but I think he does. And Hakeem Dawodu, maybe there's a little bit of questions because of the last fight, but there shouldn't be. He should go and get this win. His ceiling's maybe a little bit lower than I thought it was. I thought this guy could be top 5, top 10. But he's still young, and he's still got time to go. And the last point on is he spent the last camp at SBG Ireland, which I don't understand why. Like, you're undefeated. You've had a lot of success out of your local gym in Alberta, Warrior Creed. Don't understand why he went to Ireland for that camp, lost that fight. I think he's done this one in Alberta because him and Jordan Mean been doing a lot of media for this fight, pumping it up. I feel like this is a tailor-made fight for him, so I'm going to go Hakeem Dawodu. The 9,400, dude, it's like, man, he is
need the first round knockout.
Expensive. But I think he's going to pay
maybe a couple knockdowns.
I think he's going to get his value out of it. And, I'm not going to have him on every lineup because he's probably going to be heavily owned. But there's going to be some people that can't afford him or don't want to spend that kind of chalk. And I'll have him in some lineups. And other lineups, I'll save the money and go elsewhere.
There's a lot of places that you can spend your money this week. And there's the next guy down the list is the most expensive guy on the card. It's Islam Makhachev, who takes on Raging Cajun Johnson. Islam Makhachev is 9,600 on DraftKings, highest price that we've seen for anybody in a long time. Cajun Johnson is 6,600, minus 730 for Makhachev, and plus 515 for Cajun Johnson. Islam Makhachev, obviously the cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov. They trained together, trained by Ali Abdelaziz. Kind of
trained by or managed by?
Managed by. Sorry, Ali would probably claim that.
He's a judo black belt. Maybe he can show them a couple of things.
They're in the room all the time training together. When they go back to Dagestan, they go back down to Dagestan. Then they come back over to San Jose. They train together. These guys are basically attached at the hip. I think I've seen on the videos that Makhachev cooks all of Khabib's food and stuff.
Yeah,
for him as well. They are They're basically brothers, these two guys.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
around each other.
They're
all the time.
close cousins. That guy, Saeed Nurmagomedov, who pulled the one over Scoggins, bullshit. They're not close cousins.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, it's a big Russian family here. But yeah, no, you're right. This is his right-hand man.
The 9,600, super expensive. The 730, it's just like maybe if you think he has no chance. But the problem with Cajun Johnson is that he will try to. He's a wily veteran, and he'll try not to engage. He'll back up. He'll try to lull, turn it into a really boring lull of a fight. And I think Makhachev is going to continue to move forward. But we have seen that chin tested one time. Sometimes that's all you really need to be the 730. It's a little bit too dangerous.
Yeah.
But if he wins, my problem is Cajun Johnson's going to back up, try to avoid. I think that's going to be his game plan in this spot. And if that's the case, unless Makhachev is able to cut him off constantly and just control the pace, get him up against the cage, take him down, and then go to town on the ground.
That's got to be the game plan.
That is the game plan, but is Cajun Johnson going to waste enough time to stop Makhachev from scoring over 100 points in this fight?
Yeah, fair.
The inside the distance prop is I think it's minus 170 that this fight does go to decision here.
Decision fight.
So 9,600, it's real dicey in my opinion. I think Cajun Johnson has shown that he has the right type of style to kind of slow down the pace of a lot of these fighters. He doesn't necessarily win, and he's on a nice little streak of his own here. I think Makhachev wins. I'm scared of the 730. I don't think I wouldn't parlay it. You're not getting enough. It's just too much juice to be adding to anything. These are the types of exact spots where you get screwed for adding next 100%. To nothing. And 9,600, it's a scary fade, but I think I'm probably going to fade it on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, Cajun Johnson's actually cost me in my last two fights, so I will give him props where props are due, and I didn't think he was going to beat Adriano Martins, and he actually knocked him out cold in the third round, won cleanly in the second round after coming back from some adversity in the first, gets that victory. His last fight was Stevie Ray. Fuck, I thought he lost that fight, but all the same, he honestly probably
He's a weasel.
He did
He's
enough.
Like
he did enough.
Perez.
Don't compare him to Alejandro Perez, who gets those wins. Cajun Johnson, like I said earlier, man, he's a wily veteran. He's got a lot of skills. He's been around the game for a long time. The fact that he's a 7-1 favorite is Islam Makhachev. I think Makhachev's going to win. You think Makhachev's going to win. Clearly, everybody thinks Makhachev's going to win. But yeah, we got to look at the what if. And the what if here is that Cajun Johnson's going to backpedal a lot of the time. He's very mobile. He's got good footwork. He's got good range because he's a very rangy fighter. He doesn't want to get into a war with Islam Makhachev, so he'll play that range game. Now you got Makhachev moving forward. If he moves forward and he gets over-aggressive, then just like when Makhachev fought Adriano Martins, he gets caught with that counter right hand, he folds out, he's done. Okay, maybe Johnson could do that. What if Johnson doesn't do that? Okay, well, remember when Islam Makhachev fought Chris Wade, and Chris Wade just had that funky flying switch kick, nails Makhachev in the face. He survives to tell the tale, obviously. His chin's really not all that bad. But those are the kind of things that Cajun does. He's got a very, very swift high kick, right? Because he's a rangy fighter.
Linger, and then he's going to explode.
He's going to linger. He's going to try to just do enough to win rounds. I mean, look at the Stevie Ray fight. Just do enough to win the first two rounds. He gets smoked out in the third round. But again, he's up on the scorecards at this point. Makhachev's also coming off that huge KO over Gleison Tebow in his last fight. So if he comes in with the game plan of, I don't need to take him down, I'll just stand with him, then he's going to backpedal and he's going to just try to fucking outpoint
for
me.
These hands.
Just got these bad boys. Who knocks out Tebow? Oh, wait. 2018 Tebow. Oh, yeah, okay. But all the same, you knock him out less than a minute into the first round. I mean, yeah, the kid's got power, and Cajun Johnson is the type of opponent that you can knock out. We have seen him get completely starched on The Ultimate Fighter by Chad Laprise, completely starched in his follow-up performance against Tae Young Bang, who's now doing jail time for throwing fights. Just throwing that out there. Cajun Johnson has been kind of on a little Cinderella story as far as I'm concerned. I think he's on, 4-fight winning streak. His last 2 wins have actually been pretty big. Stevie Ray, Adriano Martins. He's doing good. Shout out to my boy Rod Wingrove. He's been calling these fights too. It's just I wasn't seeing it. So now that he's a massive underdog, it's crazy now that I'm giving him that respect. But he's earned his place, man. This is a guy that fights the UFC's policies. He tries to get the union going. They give him just the worst fights imaginable, trying to teach him his lesson. They obviously want to cut him.
They want him gone.
And he just keeps getting that win. Okay, he beat Martins. Tough guy to beat. Okay, well, let's give him Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray's, he'll beat him. Can't beat him. Okay, well, let's stop playing around. Let's just give him Islam Makhachev. I'm not saying he's going to win this fight. I'm saying, oh yeah, the last way. How do you defeat a red-hot, iron, tough, up-and-coming Russian fighter? How do you beat these guys? Motherfucking triangle choke. That shit seems to work at just such a high rate against these undefeated or highly touted Russian prospects. If you watch ACB, if you watch M1 Global, hell, if you look at Bear Juice fight, it's all the same thing. That Antigulov. It's just, dude, if you watch PFL, man, if you watch PFL, it's the same thing as well. These triangle chokes, don't know what it is. They're super susceptible for triangles. So the only reason I don't like
theory attached to any of this?
No. We're not talking about that right here. We're talking about them when the camera's off. I already told you about that.
True.
The minus 730, it's such a high price tag. It's just not worth it. And the $9,600 that he is, this could very well be a boring decision. And even if I thought he's got such a huge grappling advantage, he's just going to go to the takedowns and stick with the takedowns, I don't see Cajun Johnson getting back up and getting taken back down. I see Cajun Johnson getting taken down and getting fucking ridden. That's
being well-rounded enough to just kind of hold position.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Who knows?
You want
these
Russians,
guys. You don't want to be in a grappling situation with these Russians.
Absolutely not.
From the Nurmagomedov blood, you don't want to be involved in that.
Yeah, fair enough.
They've seen things in the training room that you haven't. Let's move on down. We got Gadzhimirad Antigulov taking on Ion Cutelaba. Antigulov is 8,600 on DraftKings and a minus 165 favorite. Cutelaba is 7,600 and plus 145. We got.
Want a greasy theory? Yeah. I would bet your left testicle that Antigulov is not 31 years old. This guy is most definitely older. His nose is shattered in that picture.
That guy, that is not a handsome man.
Imagine you were 2 years removed from your late 20s and that's what you look like. There's just no fucking chance, man. No chance. But he's not one of those completely shot 35-year-old Russians. He's one of those like still old man, tough 35-year-old Russians. I'm going to guess he's in his mid-30s. He still has both of his knees intact, so that's going to be a plus side to him. This is a super fun fight, man. This is a very fun fight in that you look at Cutelaba and what he brings to the table, dynamic punching power, just very over-aggressive, overextends himself, but that power he's got.
He had a comprehensive Sambo background when he first came over here as well.
He's a European Sambo champion.
He was super young when he first came over. That's the thing. And I was guilty. You know me. If you have anybody, he's from Moldova, but it's like if you're from anywhere near Russia and you're a highly touted prospect and your highlight package is exciting, like I'm gonna be all over it from the get-go. He's had his lumps along the way here, but I feel like he may be turning a corner.
You see, I'm going to say he's not turning a corner. And my biggest thing is I feel like in a different alternate world, Ion Cutelaba comes stateside and goes to a better gym. And maybe then we start to see some progress. But he's been very loyal to Moldova. He's been very loyal to sticking to that area. I think he spent a little bit of time in Romania as well. I don't see his skills progressing, to be perfectly honest with you. The thing is when he first came to the UFC, none of his fights had lasted longer than the second round. In fact, only one of his fights had gone to the second round and it lasted like 30 seconds. So we didn't know what we were going to get, but he's a gas bag, man. He throws heavy punches and he gets extremely tired. His fight with Jared Cannonier, he is in the driver's seat, and about a minute into the second round, he's completely gassed. His fight with Misha Churkinov, he was completely gassed. He either sparks you really quick, or he gets super tired 6 minutes in trying that. But the guy's, he's only 24 years old. He's got huge power. His takedown defense is legit. His takedown offense is legit. Former 3-time European Sambo champion, as you alluded to. Imagine this guy was at ATT and had like a really good 8-week camp. Could be. Instead, he's stuck in Moldova. His training partners are generally all smaller than him. I don't think he's the biggest 205er to begin with. I feel like this guy could be a supremely jacked 185-pound fighter. But all the same, there's changes that could be made to his game. And lastly, he's coming off a 13-month layoff because of a positive USADA test, you know? So I'm not going to say he's a gasser, but he's from fucking Moldova, where most of this stuff comes from. It's possible. It's possible he was on something.
Is that where you get all of the drugs? Is Moldova?
It generally comes.
Is that a fact?
Up. Yeah.
Have you been to Moldova?
No.
Did you buy drugs in Moldova?
We are on camera. I cannot disclose these things. No, listen. Clearly, I am not on Moldovan steroids. But if you've seen this motherfucker, he looks like he might be on Moldovan steroids. Anyways, he's very, very, very jacked. Only 6'2", tall, so he doesn't have like the biggest frame, but he's got a lot of muscle. I mean, the guy paints himself green when he goes to weigh-ins.
I love him. I hope he does that
looks the part.
Terrifying.
He looks the part. That's how jacked
he's not going
he
to
is.
scare Gadzhimurad Antigulov by pulling off those shenanigans at the weigh-in.
Yeah.
So,
So this is why I'm going to go with Antigulov here. Is that Antigulov is going to be, I think he's a better wrestler, obviously.
Yep.
He's going to have that grinding game plan. And I've seen, at least with him, he's finished a lot of fights in the first round. In fact, both of his first UFC fights have been first round finishes. But he gets the takedown, he submits the opponent.
Yep.
Gets the takedown, submits the opponent. You look at him back when he's competing for ACB, where he's the former champion over there. He doesn't seem to slow down. He's got a pretty good gas tank. His wrestling's is pretty good. TKO, yeah, he's got some power, but mostly it's just get guys down, wear them out, find that submission. And I feel like against a guy like Cutelaba, who's fairly one-dimensional, like that's a very legitimate game plan. You look at his fight with Misha Cirkunov, I get it, first fight in the UFC, but Misha shouldn't be striking with this guy. Misha's not a very good striker, and he's very stiff and robotic, but he strikes with him, and Cutelaba doesn't throw shit. When he throws shit, it's heavy. But he is not a volume puncher, and he is not a combination puncher. He is a one shot at a time, load up on it, throw the best you can. But he gives up one single takedown to Misha, and as soon as he gets taken down, he's caught in an arm triangle choke, he submits. Misha, infinitely better grappler than Antigulov, but Antigulov can just take him down, tire him out. This guy will tire, he will start to fade, and Antigulov will do enough to get 2 rounds, I'm thinking, and be able to take the decision. If he's going to lose one of the rounds, it'll obviously be the first. He has been dealing with injuries. He's been off for 14 months. Cutelaba's been off 13. Cutelaba's because of the steroid test. This guy's pulled out of back-to-back fights with injuries. I think that's in large part because he's not 31 years old. He's probably a middle to late age man.
You're such an ageist.
Nah, come on.
You hate old people.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
You probably kick over
I picked Vitor Miranda last week.
people's old ladies carrying walkers down the streets here in Toronto. And
That
Cody's
is harsh.
kicking them to the curb.
No, that might be my sugar mama in a couple years. I don't know. I can't be out there burning bridges here, Paul.
We got John Makdessi taking on Ross Pearson. John Makdessi is 8,900 on DraftKings, minus 170 favorite. Ross Pearson, 7,300 plus 150. I'll tell you who one of the least owned people on the DraftKings slate will be. It'll be John Makdessi at 8,900 because that is a little bit too much.
Crazy.
Ross Pearson is obviously, we've seen the best of him at this point. He's way. Like even that Herrera fight, just like.
Looked terrible.
He looked awful.
Yeah, he's on a 4-fight losing streak prior to that. Mind you, he fights really good guys, but he's losing.
That Herrera fight, just like, this is like, they've set you up in his wife's home. That one was in Australia, I think. It's like in his wife's home country. It's like, it's kind of his second home. It's just like, they've set you up to have like an opponent that, as long as you can shook off some takedowns, and Herrera wasn't even going for takedowns.
No.
And just like, as they were standing and banging, it's just like, it was razor close. It's just like, that was the exact type of fight for him. So, Makdessi, on the other hand, is a guy who, was getting hurt, got like his jaw broken against Cowboy Cerrone. And then and he was going to retire from the sounds of it, but he's had a couple of bounce back fights.
Yeah, the Lando Venata knockout was worse than that Cerrone one.
That's true as well. He's had some. He's had a bit of a bounce back as of late.
One single fight, right? Abel Trujillo.
Yeah, but he looked good in that fight.
He did look good in that fight.
And Ross Pearson may be done. I think I don't mind Makdessi as a favorite here. I think he is a little bit faster. A little bit of a faster fighter, obviously, at this point, and more technical striker. But, like, DraftKings, no thank you. This fight primarily takes place on the feet between the two of them, and it's going to be a close, kind of greasy fight. This is a fight that I think goes the 3-round decision. I don't know what the proper odds on that is. But Makdessi by decision, my official pick here. No, this is an easy stay away fight on DraftKings, though. Yeah,
no, I couldn't agree more. And the 8,900 for John Makdessi, I mean, that's crazy. If you think Ross Pearson shot, that's one thing. But Dan Hooker knocked him out, and outside of that, he was going the distance. Still. He was going the distance with George Masvidal despite getting rocked numerous times. Like, his chin is not bad. Traditionally, he loses to the Cub Swansons of the world by TKO, but yeah, Ross Pearson can take a shot, no doubt about it. And John Makdessi's not exactly a big, power punching guy. I mean, he's tricky. He's got a couple moves. He likes to spin, but again, I don't think that he's going to go out there and knock Ross Pearson. So I think we can write off the 8,900 fairly right off the bat. Not going to take that. The minus 170, don't really like that either. I am picking John Makdessi to win this fight, but Ross Pearson been around the block so many times that he's been in these fights before. He's fought Paul Felder. He's fought Chad Laprise. He's fought guys that kind of have a similar style to John Makdessi. And they're always close fights. They're always, split decisions or fight that could have gone either way or whatever the case may be. So if you're relying on the fact that this is a close fight and they'll give it to Makdessi because he's Canadian, again, John Makdessi is a Lebanese-born Canadian who spent most of his time in Quebec, a part that Western Canada doesn't really have much in common with, and now trains full-time out of Wisconsin. So how much of the home cooking is going to be there for him? I don't know. I'm not quick to look at that quite yet. I feel like John Makdessi is the quicker fighter, and I don't do this very often, Paul, but I'm going to go with John Makdessi based on the switching of the camps from TriStar to Milwaukee. He's at TriStar for a long time. You see right off the get-go with this guy, the potential's there. Knocks out Tom Watson. Sorry, not Tom Watson. Why am I forgetting his first name? Anyways, knocks out Watson in the first round, UFC debut. Gets to actually beat Pat Otterwood in his UFC debut. Knocks out Watson. The guy looks good. The skills are there. Taekwondo base, the bulk, good kickboxing background. It's just at some point he got to a level at TriStar where he didn't make any type of improvements. And we start seeing just lackadaisical fights out of him, fights that he probably should have won, but he didn't get the decision. He wasn't really pulling the trigger. Everyone kept saying this guy should go down to 145 pounds and probably fight there. Gets his jaw broken by Cerrone, tries to retire, comes back, doesn't look good. But moving to Milwaukee, dude, it just seems to have really reinvigorated him. He's got an actual game plan here. He's got a smaller team around him that are super focused on him and what he brings to the table, instead of TriStar where you're just kind of another body in the gym. And what we've seen from the Abel Trujillo fight, he looked to be making progress. He seems super confident. I think John Makdessi is a guy that's battled confidence issues for a long time. I think not necessarily he needs a yes man, but he needs a support system around him to get him ready. The fact that he gets his jaw broken, calls a timeout mid-fight, basically just quits on it, and then goes on the record to say, yeah, I'm probably done fighting. I think that's all confidence issues. And making the move to Milwaukee, his manager Mitch Mayberger facilitated that. Seems to be working out for him so far. So I know we've just had a small pint-sized version, but I feel like John Makdessi's not quite done. Maybe has a couple good rounds left in him. Whereas Ross Pearson is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. That one win over Herrera did not look good. This is a striker versus striker battle. And even though Ross Pearson might be a slightly better striker, he's got 2 weapons, man. He's got that left hook and he's got that right hand. And his ability to just go into the pocket and stay in the pocket is not going to bode well against a guy like Makdessi, who should be able to backpedal and, intercept him. So I'm going to take Makdessi, but I think this is a boring fight. Going to be a boring fight. Has potential to be fireworks, but I think it's going to be a boring fight. I think it's going to be low volume. I would not play either guy.
You know what else is going to be a boring fight? Caitlin Chookagian takes on Alexis Davis. 8,700 for Caitlin Chookagian, who's a minus 160 favorite. Alexis Davis is 7,500 and plus 140. Chookagian is a terrible DraftKings play. Pretty much every single fight. Yeah. She has, we call her Holly Holm Light. We've been calling her that on this show for a long time.
Poor version of Holly Holm. Yeah.
She stays at distance. She's very good at calculating and maintaining range. And
lots of output, very little connection.
A lot of output, whiffs on a bunch of the strikes. Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, she wins 29-28 or sometimes 30-27. Very good at controlling that type of thing. You know what that doesn't do? You know what that does? Gives you a whole bunch of wins, and your average fantasy points per fight is 55.
Yeah, I hear you. She's too big of a price tag. That's the big thing. 8,700. Yeah. Woof.
Yeah, if it was $8,000, maybe she's a cash play at that point, right? But 87, it's just like you have Antigulov at 86. Like there's gonna be a lot of shit going down in that fight. Like that's the type of fight that you were targeting.
That's multiple takedowns in that fight. Multiple.
Even like we'll get to the final fight.
I hear you.
There's a lot of other options. I feel like we have the same conversation every single time Chookagian fights. She's just a terrible DraftKings play. It's like she's Danielle Taylor. She is DraftKings cancer. So I think Chookagian wins. I think she maintains range. She's a lot faster, and she's the only place where she probably lacks is against Davis is on the ground. Davis over the history of time, not exactly a takedown artist. If she gets into the ground,
no way. Yeah.
If she gets into the ground, she has skills down there. But against Chookagian, it's going to be a very, very hard to get her down, to get her up against the cage, to outmuscle her. Like this girl is trained to take a couple shots, move off on an angle. Take a couple shots, move off on an angle. I think we see that for 3 rounds. Probably a 30-27 clear decision for Chookagian. The only argument I can make for even touching this fight would be like a super low ownership type of play, and it would be on Davis, because if she wins, she somehow gets this fight up against the cage, takes it to the ground. And I know that Chookagian isn't a scrub on the ground, but I think that Davis would have the advantage down there. Maybe she snatches up a sub. Like, we've seen crazier things before. I don't really want any part of this fight. If you're making 30 lineups, 20 lineups, maybe you throw Davis into 15%, so 3 out of 20. And I imagine at that price, you're going to be overweight to the field. But I think this is a fight you can avoid altogether.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go the other way there. I think if I was going to play multiple lineups, I would have a small percentage with Katlyn Chookagian, just because she scores so poorly traditionally, and she's not a very good price tag, so it's not like I'm dying to have her on my team. But if she's low ownership, I honestly do feel like this is a fight for her that she should be able to shine. Alexis Davis is way better on the ground. Alexis Davis does her best work when she's on top. And here's a real stat for you. In her last 3 fights, she's completed 1 takedown versus her being taken down 11 times. She cannot wrestle. She has always had an issue with that. What she does is she stands super upright. She's very flat-footed. She's got a Muay Thai style. She does not move her head. She's extremely hittable. She's got so much scar tissue on her face, Paul, that even simple jabs cut her open and cause her to bleed, right? So it doesn't look good if you're a judge and you're watching this, whereas Katlyn Chookagian ain't doing much, but the little she's doing is probably got this bitch busted up, right? If she's able to pin Katlyn Chookagian up against the cage and outmuscle her...
Crazy.
Wow, I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a nice lady, and she's a good mom from all accounts. A BJJ black belt, a warrior, good old Canadian. I'm just calling it like I see it here. She is the stronger girl. It's just I find that she'll struggle cutting off the angles because she does very little footwork. She doesn't cut angles properly. She almost just like a mummy. She just kind of follows you down. I did not think she won her last fight against Liz Carmouche. I have not thought she looked even slightly good since she came off her long layoff due to having her first child. So I'm off the Alexis Davis bandwagon. What I see with Katlyn Chookagian is even though she doesn't really commit to the punches, she's infinitely faster than Alexis Davis. And Davis can't get the fight to the ground, and Chookagian's actually, her takedown defense is good enough that she'll probably be able to just stuff the takedowns anyways. It's just going to be a striking battle. And if she realizes early in there that Davis is just getting bloodied up, Davis is not moving her head, Davis is not really doing anything.
She'll be like, sweet, I can cruise to a 30-27 here and just whip that air and make tennis pro sounds.
Katlyn Chookagian's last fight was almost like someone was playing a joke on you. Like, we're just fucking with you. Okay, we'll start fighting now. It was so unbelievably bad. She did not commit to any of her strikes. She was probably lucky to even get the win because everybody lost in that fight. Terrible. Please do something here, Katlyn Chookagian. You've looked very lackluster since you've come. Fair. But my last thing is when Holly Holm first came to the UFC, because we're always making that comparison. When Holly Holm first came to the UFC, she didn't look really good either, man.
She did the same
Her first 2 fights was a lot of backpedaling and point fighting. Everyone thought, oh, gee, she's not all that good. She fights Ronda, and it's like, yo, I got something in my back pocket. I didn't have to use it yet, but here it is. But Ronda gave her that perfect opponent that she could really use those tools. I honestly feel like if this is just going to be a stand-up battle, and Alexis Davis is okay with getting hit in the head because she's taken a lot of damage in her career. She's a very, very, very tough and durable girl. She'll be there for the 15 minutes of getting hit, but she is there to get hit. Katlyn Chookagian should just completely run circles around her and hopefully commits a little bit to those strikes and hurts her. And the last thing that I got in my pocket for here, is that Katlyn Chookagian's got a decent wrestling game. Alexis Davis is good on the ground, usually when she's on top, not particularly that good off her back. So I think Chookagian backs up, strikes with her. But if the opportunity arises or if Alexis Davis gets too, overzealous, she'll take her down and then create space and get back up. And that's scoring me points the entire time. So Davis can't stuff a takedown for shit. And I think if you're Chookagian, you got to exploit that at least a little bit. Keep her guessing a little bit. So I think she'll rack up more points than she traditionally does, but 8,700 still really doesn't justify having her. So this is likely a big old pass, but maybe I can see myself using her in some lineups if she's going to be really low.
We just spoke for 6-7 minutes on a fight that just we both think Chookagian wins. We think she wins a pretty clear decision,
right.
But it's just full out stay away.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the semantics of this. We're trying to give you all of the options and all of the angles.
What could happen?
What could happen in the situation, but the real situation is you really don't have to play this fight.
This is true.
At all. I don't mind actually a Chookagian by decision. That is my preferred
Definitely the
spot
over.
Here. Definitely.
Definitely.
That's probably already juiced up to like minus 450. We got Mateus Nicolau, 9,000 on DraftKings and a minus 225 favorite, taking on Dustin Ortiz, 7,200 and plus 185. Interested to hear your take on this one.
Hey, we love Dustin Ortiz, and he's been very good to us.
Very good to us.
But Dustin Ortiz has got this thing where he'll get some momentum going. Oh, he's looking good. And then he'll just shit the bed once. And then, he's looking good again. And I feel like the fact that he's won his last 2 fights in a row here, he's coming up on a bed-shitting performance. And the thing with Nicolau is that we just don't really know enough, right? I think Dustin Ortiz is obviously a much better scrambler. I think he's a better wrestler. I honestly think he is better on the ground. Logic would dictate that he's going to go out there, he's going to score some takedowns on Nicolau, he's just going to beat him in the transition. His striking is serviceable. We've seen some power out of him. Knocked out Hector Sandoval in 15 seconds. His fight with Pantoja, you see that obviously his kickboxing game's there. It's fluid. Doesn't have that big power, but some decent power, and doesn't mind using his striking. But his striking is there to lull you long enough to get your ass on the ground. And that's just how Dustin Ortiz fights. I would go as far as to say he's the best scrambler in the UFC. You and I have been high on that for a long time. He just beats guys you want to push a fast pace, relentless cardio, he will break you on that pace. I feel like that's going to be the way to beat Mateus Nicolau. Mateus Nicolau is, 5 years younger than Dustin Ortiz. He hasn't been to the same level. He's fought some okay guys, but he hasn't really had that kind of fight that just, it goes hard for 15 minutes and you've got to, dig different tools out of your bag. I feel like Ortiz is going to do enough to win the decision. I don't think he finishes him. I just think he does enough. But again, Dustin Ortiz doesn't go on 3-fight winning streaks. Dustin Ortiz always kind of hits a level where, like, the Brendan Moreno fight, for example, he had no business losing that fight. But you know what? He got rocked by a Brendan Moreno head kick that a lot of people didn't see coming. And Moreno, turns out he's really not all that good. He's a young, inexperienced guy who's raw, yet he found that way to beat Dustin Ortiz. Dustin Ortiz has also had 6 split decisions throughout his career. He is 4-2 when fights go to split decision. So obviously a winning record in between that, but his fights are just very close for the most part, Him Scoggins and him and Borg and
because he initiates these scrambles and he usually comes out on top in these scrambles.
Right, but if he takes on Wilson Hayes or Yusir Formiga, but even then, he gives up his back a lot. Pantoja had his back a lot, but he was able to obviously still win that fight. Wilson Hayes is all over him. Formiga's all over him. That's the grappling. So what he does well, other guys just do slightly better. But in Nicolau's case, I don't think he's the better grappler. He sure as hell ain't the kind of grappler that we just talked about between Pantoja, Formiga, and Wilson Hayes. No. Right? He's Brazilian. I suppose that's the comparison with them.
Good striker, good athlete. He's quick.
I think he's a slightly better striker, but he'll get taken down.
Situations where he's won and his best performances, he has leaned on his wrestling a little bit. Like he's got 102.67 points per fight. I think 2 of those fights he had like 4 takedowns, lots of advances and stuff. He's a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but I think he wants to stay on the feet. Here, it's just whether he can or whether Dustin Ortiz just has a knack for getting most of his fights into these scrambles, even when it's kind of dangerous for him.
He goes in there and does it.
Gets it up against the cage and finds a way to get the fight to the mat, and then he's confident in his ability to land on top. So it's very interesting because when we talk about this, if it's a Dustin Ortiz fight, if this fight does go to the mat and these guys are scrambling, it's like you have advances, so many advances on the ground in those types of fights. And those are the types of fights that, like, you're just like, holy shit, what happens? There's a wind of dust. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say.
A wind of
dust. And then at the end of the round, you're just like, holy shit, look how many points this guy's scored. So, a fight that I think I need to dig into a little bit more. I don't even have an official pick for this one yet, but
I'm gonna go Ortiz, but again, a bad feeling that he could get cut. But no, I think you're right, dude. Not only when the fight hits the ground is it a lot of transitions because the guy's always in transition, but his wrestling's good and his ground game's good. But a lot of the time he gets the takedown, the opponent gets back up. In fact, it's kind of like, ooh, are they going to count that as a takedown because he was down for a little bit? And, Fight Metric's going to have to be on their game here. DK Assist is going to have to be on their game here. who knows? But if they score it properly, Dustin Ortiz always has that Tim Elliott potential of just scoring massively. With Nicolau, when you look at the fact that he's scored really well, one of those fights is against Smolka, who it's very easy to score a lot of points against Smolka because of his style. And his fight with John Moraga, he tested positive for steroids right after that, right? So I don't know what I'm getting at Matus Nicolau.
And that was his bad performance because he wasn't able to get the takedowns and dominate from top position.
And I watched him on Tough. I think he was on Tough Season 4, Brazil. He lost to Delano Lopez to get to the finals. And then Delano Lopez lost to Reginaldo Vieira. So he didn't look good there. He won his fight against Bruno Correa. He looks like somebody who's
improved a lot since then, though.
Yeah, because he was 23 or something when he came off the show. Tested positive, but has looked good since coming back. I don't think he's one of those guys that needs it. He's still young. He's still, going to get better, hopefully.
Sure.
But yeah, gun to my head. I mean, listen. We haven't said this in a long time, shockingly. We used to say it all the time until we named our podcast it. But this is Dogger Pass, baby. Give me Dustin Ortiz. I'm taking Dogger Pass here.
We got Nina Ansaroff taking on Ronda Markos in the strawweight division. Again, we got Nina Ansaroff is 8,500 on DraftKings, -150 favorite. Ronda Markos is 7,700 and plus 130. I've got a nickname for you that you don't know about. You're the Ansaroff Whisperer. Ansaroff. You've typically you've always been nailing her fights every single time. So I'm gonna let you take it away. Don't listen to what I have to say about this one. Cody's got a good track record with Nina Ansaroff. So
I am nailing her fights, but I am not nailing her because I want no part of getting my ass kicked by Nunes. Oh my
I don't think she wants any part of you either there, buddy. So
clearly nobody does. But Nina Ansaroff, it's just she's kind of hard sometimes to get a read on. She's a really talented girl, but she doesn't fight all that often, so it's easy to just forget about her. Obviously a striker by nature. She's got decent takedown defense. She's got decent offensive wrestling. Her ground game is really not all that bad, but I mean, yeah, her bread and butter is the striking exchanges. She wants to just open up on opponents and light them up. The problem is that opponents typically just want to take her down. Look at her first fight against Juliana Lima. It's just takedowns. That second fight with Justine Kish, a lot of people thought she beat Justine Kish, even though she gave up 3 takedowns. But she gave up 3 takedowns on 10 attempts, so percentage-wise, only 30% that you're getting her down wasn't really all that bad, but she lights up Kish when the fight is standing. And I think for a lot of people, they were going with damage. They were going for the fact that she was going for it, that she's trying to finish the fight, that she probably should have won that fight. And then all of a sudden, she takes long layoffs. So, she's not in anybody's mind. Her last 2 performances coming back, I think that's when you really get to see what she's capable of. And the last fight with Angela Hill, this is striker versus striker. This is not I'm going to get taken down. This is let's do this. Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger, a little more predictable, so we won't talk about that one. But Angela Hill, I mean, she scored some 130 significant strikes against Hill. She got better as the fight went on. Mm-hmm. That was a fantastic fight for her because she really starts to show you the arsenal of what she's able to do. She's been with ATT for a long time, training at the highest level. And then beyond that, you got Amanda Nunes is the champ at American Top Team. You're getting the best coaches around you. You're getting the best strength and conditioning. You're getting the best nutrition. You're in basically one of your lead training partners is the number 1 135-pound girl in the world. And you're getting ready for 115-pound fights. Not bad. I think she's better than a lot of people would think. And against Ronda Markos, I almost feel like Ansaroff has fought this kind of fight before. Here's a very one-dimensional, powerful girl, likely just wants to line me up with that big right hand and then power me to the ground. Markos, we know as she is. And listen, this is a girl that upsets with the dog. She upsets as the dog fairly often, more times than not anyways. It's easy to write her off because she looks one-dimensional. But you and I talk about this all the time. One-dimensional works in the 115-pound women's division, right? It's just not...
If you're really good at that one skill.
You got to be really good at that one skill. And she's not a fantastic wrestler. She's just very strong. And she's able to brute opponents down to the ground. But she has rotated wins and losses professionally, because obviously you're not counting that run on The Ultimate Fighter, but she has rotated wins and losses, I think, for the last 5 years. She has not won 2 fights in a row since 2013. And she happens to be coming off a win. Is she going to win again and make it 2 in a row? I don't think so. This is how I see the fight playing out. Ronda Markos goes out there. She tries to gauge her striking a little bit. She tries to see if she can find distance with that right hand. Ansaroff starts to pick her off. She eventually decides, I'm going to go to the wrestling. Ansaroff has been working a lot on the wrestling. She's going to want to keep this fight standing. She does keep the fight standing, and she just outpoints her. Ronda Markos is, surprisingly enough, her last 3 fights, she's all scored in the neighborhood of 45 to 48 significant strikes. So she is not a volume puncher. No. She's not somebody that's going to go out there and score big on you. She needs those takedowns. Ansaroff, you can take Ansaroff down, But I have a feeling that Ansaroff will keep this fight standing. She's going to outpoint her. She's a much better stand-up fighter than she is. She cuts better angles. She's a little bit faster. Markos is someone that's super predictable. And you give random Markos' highlight reel, or you take her last couple fights, and you give them to guys like Mike Brown and Dean Thomas, like they're going to dissect it. Huge. They are going to find exactly her patterns, exactly what she does. Markos seems to be treading where she's at. She doesn't make a whole lot of improvements. It's kind of like the same version of her every time, whereas Ansaroff is at that point in her career where it's like do or die. Let's go out there. We have the exact same record. Who wants it more? Who's gonna pull through? And I feel like Ansaroff's got a little bit better. So I'm gonna take Ansaroff the -150. Love it, no problem. The $8,500. On one hand, she could score those big strikes. On the other hand, I don't think she's gonna rush her the way she did Angela Hill.
Not gonna be very well owned though.
Yeah.
So it's like if she puts up a type striking clinic like she did against Angela Hill, she could be like that tricky play on the card.
If she stuffs the early takedowns, then this fight could play out almost like Joanne and Jedrzejczyk versus Carlos Esparza. Like you stuff those first couple, and you're like, oh, it's a striking match now.
Oh, it's on now.
Okay, you're screwed. But if she gets taken down early, completely plausible, then that'll cause her to think, do I really want to step in with a 3-4 punch combination, or do I want to hit one and back out? This girl's going to take me down. So the mentality could change depending on the early success of either fighter. But yeah, best case scenario, she puts up 100 significant strikes, no takedowns, no ground transitions, but her 100 significant strikes with the victory, 8,500, still a little steep, but I can see it. But if she doesn't go out there and score 100 significant strikes, not going to get her value. There's not likely going to be a takedown from her or those ground transitions or submission attempts or anything like that. If she goes out and scores 60 significant strikes and picks up a decision victory, it's not going to have its price tag. And, the 7,700 on Markos, even if she wins, I doubt she's going to get 77 points out of it. So pass on Markos. Give me some Ansaroff. The -150 is what I like better than anything else.
That was your biannual episode of Ansaroff with Cody Saftic.
Keeping it real.
Finally, we've got a fight on the card that usually I would say is what we like to call around here the cranberry sauce fight of the night. But this one, there's a little bit of a hitch to it. Both of these guys are not great. Devin Powell taking on Alvaro Herrera. 8,400 Devin Powell, 7,800 Herrera, -125 Powell, +105. Both of these guys don't belong here. Both of these guys don't belong, or would probably get murked by just about everybody in the UFC's lightweight division. The best division on earth.
Neither one of these guys would score one single point in the playoff standing through a PFL. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
So, but the thing about it is, you look at, I give obviously a lot of respect to Vegas, and you look at Vegas's line here, and Vegas has it as a +130. Last time I checked, +130 for this fight to go distance. -170 for this fight to be finished inside the distance. We have Herrera, who's got like a 3.5 minute gas tank. He put your boy Wilson Ramos.
He has never been to the third round.
No.
So
and then we have Devin Powell, who comes from the Homer Simpson fighting system, where it's just like he's just gonna take a shitload of damage until his opponent either gasses so he can take over late, or he just gets flatlined in the process of taking all of that damage. So this is a fight I think you really actually want to target on DraftKings. Like, it's scary. I don't want to bet this because, like, do I really feel good about either one of these scrubs' chances? Not really. But DraftKings, GPP specifically, it's like, you got to take your shots. And this is a fight, and Vegas is telling you that this is a fight that probably gets finished. So I can't argue I think you can argue that you should take both sides. People want official picks from us and stuff. Just like, get out of here. I don't know who's going to win this one. Alvaro Herrera's either going to spark him in the first 4 minutes or so, or Devin Powell, who's very, very durable. That's like his best skill, is going to weather that early storm and then come on late and maybe either pull out like a high volume decision that most of his stuff gets landed in late rounds 2 and 3
when you're tired,
or he gets a finish late in the fight type of thing. That's how I see this fight. I think it's a good spot for DraftKings. Maybe people will avoid it. I think sharp people are going to be on this fight, but I think general public will probably be off of it because it's just who the hell are these guys? Both of these guys suck. They don't belong in the UFC. But I think this is and it's early in the night. Like this first fight, which is basically meaningless, is very weird that it's on this card in general, could dictate the rest of the slate on DraftKings.
Yeah, it could definitely. And I see a path to victory for both guys, no doubt, but I'm going to go with Devin Powell here. This is not sexy in the slightest bit. These are the kind of guys I would love to fade in other matchups with other people. But
basically everybody else.
They have to be fighting each other. And you mentioned earlier with Austin Arnett, you're like, well, if he happens to win this one, they might give him an easier fight the next time out. Like, these guys fought tough dudes. Alvaro Herrera had to fight Vicente Luque. If you look at Devin Powell's 2 fights in the UFC have been Daryl Horcher and Drakkar Klose. Like, tough guys.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, dude, clearly you can't beat
It's a pink slip fight.
top 30 guys. Our roster is too big. One of you guys has got to go. You might as well fight each other. Alvaro Herrera has been the very first fight on the card now for 3 straight events, or the 3 straight that his fights, generally his last 3, have all been the very first fight on the card. Clearly he is not doing all that good. Got the 1 win over Ramos, like you said, 32nd. Ramos, I don't think he ever
broke your damn heart after you told
I
that
don't think
story
Ramos
that
ever
one
fought
time.
again. I don't think Ramos ever fought again. And funny thing there is that was coming off the season of the Ultimate Fighter Latin America, right? And Alvaro Herrera lost his one and only fight on that season of Latin America against Hector Aldana, the guy who disappeared for 4 years and then showed up to get his ass kicked by Keenan Song, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the level. He lost to this dude on the Ultimate Fighter. Anyways, comes to the UFC. I heard he was at Jackson's. I looked into it. He was at Greg Jackson's. I'm thinking, okay, you put a young enough guy there. He's got some big power in his hands, but he doesn't really have a well-balanced skill set, so to speak. You put him in a super gym like that, and maybe he'll make some improvements. Thing is, the improvements aren't there, man. He's got a very bad takedown defense. Actually, his takedown defense is all right, first 2 minutes. Then he gets tired. Then he's got no takedown defense, and you can just have your way with him. Vicente Luque took him down 4 times at will. The last 2 times, it was comical, like those 2 second-round takedowns. This guy is gassed out, man. Gassed out bad. Maybe because of his wrestling. Maybe because of the pace. Who knows? But Alvaro Herrera does not have a gas tank. Anyways, you look at anything that's on Instagram now or anything that's on his Twitter now. I know some people have said he's still at Jackson's. I don't think he's at Jackson's. I think he's back in Mexico. This is definitely his last fight in the UFC. And it is what it is. He probably didn't want to shell out the money by having to go to a big gym. So he stayed within the confines of his own gym. And, is hopefully going to land one of those big shots. Devin Powell, I think he kind of nailed it. He's kind of like Homer Simpson. He's lost 3 times. He ain't ever been finished. He stands there and he takes a shot. Daryl Horcher is way better than Alvaro Herrera. He's a better technical boxer. He's got a little more power. He's got better experience. He's a better fighter. He got a better gas tank. And Powell made it interesting in that 3rd round. Powell somehow lost a split. Should have been unanimous, but he showed something. He's got some grit. During training camp, he busted his ball. Joe Lozon hit a knee slide on him and ruptured his testicle. Guy's all smiles in the hospital. Apparently in early May, he broke his orbital bone. Guy's all smile in the hospital. Prior to coming to the UFC, he won a Dana White looking for a fight on the NEF card up in Maine. Got his nose shattered by John Lemke. All fucking smiles. This guy can take it. Alvaro Herrera can dish it until he fades. What do you think's going to happen here, dude? This is Boxcar Joe versus Homer Simpson. Alvaro Herrera.
Exactly.
Alvaro Herrera's going to go swing some bombs. He's probably going to nail Powell all over the place. And then Powell will figure it out. Powell, I believe, is a black belt. He owns his own gym now in Maine. He's been there for 3 years. He's the head coach. I would fade him against pretty much anybody in the division because he's the head coach at his own gym in Maine. These are the kind of situations where it's like, at least he gets to train full time. At least he has sparring partners that come in. At least he makes that drive to Joe Lozon's and trains to Joe Lozon and tries to get in some work with some better guys. But the durability's there. I think he's got some decent length. I feel like the fight will eventually hit the ground once Herrera gets tired and Powell's able to get it there. And Powell's got heart for days. This is a pink slip fight for both guys. And even though I know both guys want it, and you cannot say one guy wants it more than the next guy, but I honestly feel like Powell wants this fight. He is in the right scenario to get his first UFC victory, and Herrera had his. He got to beat Ramos. That was it. That was the worst guy in the UFC, and now you're done. And Powell is losing to guys as well, and he might have one. He's got to fight the worst guy in the UFC, and dare I say, Alvaro Herrera might be the worst guy currently on the UFC's lightweight roster.
Well, we'll find out.
So
When this fight is over,
we are going to. Well, he's going to get cut, so then he won't.
we
be
will
the
have
worst,
exactly.
The guy that wins might be the worst guy.
The worst guy in the
division.
UFC is a very fluid game, Cody. It's
Yeah.
people moving in and out. All of a sudden, somebody's gone, and then
yeah.
you have to find the next worst guy in the UFC.
Yeah, no, you're right, man.
This fight is for
Juan
who is the
Potts,
worst guy in the UFC.
Christodoulou, Boyan. These guys only come
And
into
the
our lives
loser-
for a little bit of time.
The loser of this fight is the worst guy in the UFC until like
Well, you
2
always
weeks,
call it before.
until 2 weeks later, after they've kind of healed up, when they get an email or a letter or something from Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby saying,
No, I hear you. Just quick rapid fire.
Yep.
I'm going to go Poirier, Stevens, Joanna, Hernandez, Jordan Mean, Hakeem Dawodu, Islam Makhachev, Antigulov, John Makdessi, Kalen Chookagian, Dustin Ortiz, Nina Ansaroff, and Devin Powell. Just in case that wasn't clear at any point during the show.
Yeah.
I want to say one last thing before we wrap
What's
up
that?
this show. I feel terrible. I should have called somebody and alerted people to the fact that this Demi Lovato thing, I saw that shit coming, man. First of all, she's with Luke Rockhold. And then she goes downhill and ends up with
Bomba.
Guilherme Vasconcelos.
Yeah.
And then she goes down and ends up with Harriet the Horse. And apparently it didn't
Who's
go.
Harriet the horse?
It's the street name for heroin.
Oh boy.
All I got to say about that one, I think we could all see the downward spiral. Hopefully she's all right.
Yeah, hopefully she's all right.
I never get why people with lots of money do that shit, but apparently
they have lots of money and it's
I
expensive.
think the lots of money has something to do.
And I
with
think
it.
like musicians,
It's a lot of stress. I get it.
it's makes them more creative. Probably they think they get ideas about things when they're really messed up on drugs.
She just switched to a sativa and come up with some brilliant ideas, but
Probably
I
doesn't
feel like
do
you
much.
would do some smack and then just
But I think like
go out.
musicians, actors, and stuff, you see it one because they have a lot of money, and two, it's just like they work a lot. They'll work like a 7-week, 8-week type of time where it's just like they're putting in 20-hour days every single day, and it's just like, oh, I got 2 months off. Oh, I'm bored. And these are where these types of things happen. It's like people who work on like oil rigs and stuff. Like I've spent some time up in the north, up in northern Alberta, and it's just like these guys get like, they're on for 21 straight days and they're working like 20 hours every single day, and then they get like 2 weeks off, and it's just
I could find a vein in one of these arms.
yeah,
That's what they do with their free time.
And they do a lot of drug tests to make sure that guys don't do that, but then there's also like masking agents to get around all that
Shoot
stuff.
it between the webs in your toes, of course. Old trick of the
So I think, hopefully she's all right. I'm surprised that we were talking about Demi Lovato.
Well, she's got an odd tie into the MMA world.
She does.
She likes dating guys with no chin. I guess Vasconcelos is sort of got a chin. Luke Rockhold, though. No
He's
chin.
handsome though.
Maybe she ruined Luke's career. Okay, we're done talking about this.
Maybe we should cut this out. I'm just kidding. We don't cut anything out. There's literally basically no cuts out at any time of this program.
No cuts given.
Never. Wrap things up finally here. We've got our congratulations again to Broken Thumbs on DraftKings. You got some bucks. Peter Rock 75. You also got some bucks. So remember, yes, to make sure you give this show a like and give your highest scoring Canadian. We went through this whole card and it's just like,
Jordan Mean.
You know who's going to be the most popular pick? I think it's Jordan Mean because he's kind of the Canadian that we gave the most chance here.
Well, how many Canadians we got? We got Markos, we got Makdessi, we got Cajun Johnson, Hakeem Dawodu, who could score the biggest.
Actually, Hakeem
Jordan
Dawodu
Mean,
will be the chalk pick.
You got six.
Jordan Mean would be the sneaky pick. Hakeem Dawodu will be the chalk pick.
Cajun Johnson would be the troll pick. I don't know. Triangle, baby.
Cajun
Triangle.
Johnson is the low. Yeah. Mayo just goes through randomly.
It's, by the way, we've been disrespecting him. It's Cajun Johnson now. I believe the last broadcast he wanted to be known that he doesn't want to be called Cajun.
Fair. Cajun, Cajon. Whatever. It's not so simple. Either way, so yes, give the show a like, your highest scoring Canadian, leave a comment in the comments section, or you can do both. you go on to the Pat Mayo Experience iTunes page. There's a link in the description of this video. Go on there. Give the show a good review. It helps to keep the show free. Helps to keep us from going on hiatus again like we did back in our bookie beatdown games. Helps keep me and this fresh face, Cody Saftic, around. So any final thoughts there?
Yeah, if we cancel the show, I might have to start smoking again.
You know
and
what?
then who knows? It's a gateway drug to doing Smack in an Alley with Demi Lovato. So leave a fucking comment, and hopefully it's of the positive variety, and that's about it.
You're going to hell, bud. Anyway, that is it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Chad Dow doing all the sweet cuts around the cameras here, and Cody Saftic, I am Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
That Mayo experience! Experience!